Good evening, everybody, and welcome from downtown St. Thomas to the Mayor's Update with our Mayor, Joe
Excellent.
Preston.
You
How
know,
you doing?
if you notice, you probably did this, but our music is more danceable
That's,
now.
that's
Uh,
right. Yeah, we're
yeah,
upbeat.
I was chair dancing a storm till the music stopped. Now I have to be serious. I
Well, I
don't
don't know if
know.
that's the case.
Okay, then good. Okay, but
Or possible.
I'll slow down the chair dancing for a moment then, and not be as serious. You know, a lot going on for it being February, and I see that it's staying lighter a little later, and
Hmm.
all of those things that we kind of get used to in the middle of winter. But there's a number of things happening in our community, so I'm pretty pleased, and
Well, I
been
think.
doing some visiting. And last week I worked food basics for a couple of hours on the Toonies for Tummies. Um,
Hmm.
and a post I saw from Colette today was that $6,000 total in the first week. So I think that
Incredible.
it's still going on this week. So that's a great way to help fund the breakfast program for kids. So,
Hmm. And there's another update you have about the ice rink as well.
oh yes, I've got a number of. Why don't I do some updates instead of just, well, what are we talking about next? Skating rink is open. The skating rink between uh, is it Morrison and Lock
Monsignor
Street
Morrison and
and
Locks.
Lock Street School. Again, need to really shout out Doug Terry Limited and
Hmm.
their help, Impressions Printing and their help, the St. Thomas Fire Department and Fire Association for helping them flood it, and the city of St. Thomas. We approved it, but we've also some of the recreation staff have already been there to talk about how to best maintain it. And a huge shout out to the community
Hmm.
because a lot of kids are using it, a lot of families are going to be using it and have been using it, and the community also has to help with that. It's in their community, so way to go. Nice to do. It got right warm enough to be soft today, so the mayor will also challenge you to make sure that you take care of the rink. Um, if it gets soft, don't go
Hmm.
on it, right? And let it harden back up. There's no danger of falling through it, but there's danger of hurt of damaging the ice and such. So the
Hmm.
skating rink is open and running, and I really hope that the neighborhood communities next year, we can get 4 or 5 or 6 of these going in the winter as another outdoor
Hmm.
thing. But this one was really special because of the 2 years of COVID. Let's get some
Yep.
winter activity space out there and make it work. Also, this week, Monday, the library reopened for walk-in
Hmm.
traffic. I don't believe it's 100% open, and I don't think they're really asking you to come in and stay in there because there's a certain number of people that can be
Yeah.
there. But you can now not have to have your books dropped out to the car or curbside, that type of thing. So, way
Hmm.
to go to Heather Robinson and the whole team at the
Yep.
library who've been through 2 years of COVID a godsend. In the first year, they became the do all and everything. While they were closed, they did so
Yeah.
much for this community on finding help. But so it's nice that they're back being library again. And
And Jess actually took advantage of that. She went in to get a book on sleeping for babies and how to
oh,
make sure they could sleep better.
I can give firsthand information. I sleep pretty well. I sleep like a baby. I cry myself to sleep and wet myself, but that's a whole different thing.
That's,
Um,
that's, what?
I'm just teasing. It's an old joke, and I don't remember the rest of it. But
Hmm.
good evening, Margaret McKnight. Nice to see you here online with us. And it's pretty early in the show tonight. Let's tell your friends we've got Mayor's Update on.
Hmm.
Tell them to tune in and bring their hard questions for the mayor, and he'll pass them off to Graydon to answer. Um, Another great big piece of news today that makes me smile a little bit. The census information was the raw data, and some of the data was released today. St.
Hmm.
Thomas, the population of St. Thomas on the 2021 census is 42,800 and some. Um, that is a huge growth from the 2016 census,
Hmm.
over 5,000 ish in that period of time. So 1,000 a year in the 5,000 growth a year. As we've been saying, from a housing point of view, we have to keep there. We expect to see housing grow or the population grow at 1,000 a year for the next 5 years at least. We think 10. So pretty good growth for old community. I think the smallest number I remember was 18,000 or something on the signs, but I really wasn't tracking it much before that.
Like when you first came to St.
When I
Thomas
first
back
came
in
here,
like 1990.
yeah, I think so. And I could be wrong. We could be, because sometimes those signs don't get changed. It'll be 5 years into the next census before we get it changed to 42,800. So, but anyway, it's a 10% population growth. 10% population growth in the city of St. Thomas. The city of London also grew at 10% during that time and just topped just over 400,000 now. So we always tend to, in rough numbers, I always think of St. Thomas being 10% of London population. So when they say they've got something, this many businesses, well, then we better have at least 10% of that. That's the ratio I always think of. So London's over 400,000.
I wonder how many Tim Hortons they have. Do we have a 10% ratio? Because I felt
we got to beat that.
I feel like we were like the Tim Hortons capital of Canada for a little bit for the number per like capita, but I don't know.
No, okay. There's one we've got to search out now, right? But I always just so if a federal grant comes down so much for transit, I always looked at, did St. Thomas get at least 10% of what London got, those types of things. So it's pretty easy to divide it. So congratulations, Mayor Ed, on the growth of your community also. But by a 10% growth, what you're faced with now for the next 10 years too. If you keep up 10% growth, you've got a lot of new citizens moving into your community. And probably working in St. Thomas, but we do tend to share that little bit. But more details on the census on what that means to us overall over the next couple of months, as more information is working in from what that means. I do not know what that question means, Faye. I'm waiting for my mall to be built next to Memorial. Okay.
I think she wants a mall next to Memorial. Okay.
Well, that's not something the city would do. The city doesn't really build malls. We'll let other people build malls. So if someone would come along, and there is some groundwork being done on that piece of property between Memorial and Elm, and we hope that's a positive piece. We know that is a new owner has purchased that property or it's changed hands recently, but it has some real brownfield problems. So I imagine they're doing some soil testing to see what the work would be. The last time anybody spoke to us about it, it was for housing in that neighborhood. So an apartment building, and it will probably be a lovely place, right? Across the road from Pinafore Park. So let's hope that their ground testing and stuff gets them towards, again, more housing here in St. Thomas. I think we can certainly use the housing, and what a lovely place for it to be.
Absolutely. Now, Mayor Joe, have you had a chance to think about a trivia question for this week?
Yeah, I had one, and you think I can get it to come to my mind?
Because we were talking about this, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm going to remember it."
A good trivia question. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I know I've said it a number of times on here, right? And so I'll just use this one. What's the name of my dog? And we'll say no more. And even if the dog, I won't even give you the sex of the dog, even if the dog makes noise in the background, I will not call her by her name during this show until someone guesses. I just gave her. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So the first person to name Mayor Joe's dog
goes into the draw
for the art print, which will be drawn for at the end of the month.
You should bring it and hold it out.
I can do that. Okay. Here, let me get it. I'll put in the chat here, and then I'll go grab it.
Well, Connie Larson's asked a question. 10% growth, yes. This is population growth, not that we're talking about. But what about affordable housing? $1,200 for a one bedroom is not affordable for most of us. I do agree, right? And the city continues to work on the affordability side of housing also, but supply and demand is what we have a problem with. And if we have builders building new apartment buildings, we'll certainly see the fixing of pricing on them after we have enough supply for people who are looking for houses. So I get what you're saying. If you look around, we have a lot of apartment buildings under construction, and none were built in the previous decade. So we are starting to move forward on an apartment point of view, but that's not all of it. The city in itself, there's your print. It's a jumbo print done by world famous artists. I understand that that artwork always goes up after the artist has passed away.
That's
right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. So how's your health?
It's pretty good so far. It's pretty good so
okay.
far, but
right.
you never know.
Okay, good. If I'm speculating on art, I guess I should try and figure that out.
Right? I should say it's on the gallery-sized canvas, so it's the thicker canvas, beautiful. And then you can just pop it right onto your wall, which is super handy. So I ordered a whole whack of these things.
And Matt Sharp has
been entered in the draw.
Okay, we guess because it is JoJo, but I always call her JoJo the Wonder Dog. So, but we'll let it slip this week on the accuracy part. I didn't say you had to know her nickname too. So, okay. So anyway, talking to Connie's talk about growth, and we will continue to grow at that rate. So the mayor's job over the last 4 years, and the mayor's job and council's job for the next term of council will be as much gathering developers to come to our community to build purposed housing. And we're now on a really good roll of doing that. It takes a while to build housing. Our home builders, the single family home builders, have been doing a great job, and every year have built what was needed in that market, but we now need the rest. How does St. Thomas's crime rate compare to London? We're significantly better. And the break and enters into garage and stores. So petty crime like that happens in every community. And we fare far better than them on a percentage basis, would be my guess. So we should have Chief Harridge on one night and answer that question too.
I mean, there's a lot of changes to the policing in St. Thomas over the past I'd say 5 years probably to talk about.
Well, certainly we've put a lot more downtown emphasis, core area emphasis, and we've put a whole group together on crime, like car break-ins or garages break-ins, and we've been extremely positive on being able to catch people in the act or return stolen property. Look, I'll be the first to admit we still have a problem with what the courts do after the persons who perpetrated a crime get to the courts. It's a lot too much catch and release, but that's happening across Ontario also. We're trying to speak to the Justice Minister about how can we fix this? What can it be? Can there be other paths of justice like drug court or mental health help instead of going to jail for these crimes, especially if people keep repeating them? I really find after somebody is a repetitive criminal, then they're telling us they don't want to be on the street. So let's find out what we can do instead. So Emily, I agree with what you're saying. It's with social media, it's probably more visible than it used to be. But our police chief and the police services here do a great job of every day sharing with you the crimes that have occurred in our community, and also once a week sharing with you the disposition of those crimes at the court system. Who got just let off, who had charges dropped, and all of that. So we're all a bit frustrated by it, but we'll keep working towards it. Our own internal solutions. We know that some of those solutions involve rehab and detox and mental health crisis beds as an alternative to jail time. So we'll keep doing it, and we'll keep working on it. And it's great. Lots of questions already to start tonight. What about the former railway property next to Tim's on Elm? I did just talk about that. There's a owner of the property now who's doing some soil testing and some grading, and we won't know till what he finds as to whether there will be building there. But my understanding is that would be again accommodation, apartments likely. Emily said, thanks. She generally feels safe downtown, delighted with Indwell, the Inn, and Project Hope. I agree with you. I have some great stats from from Chief Heritage about the 16 people at the micro apartments at Rail City Lofts, and how many interactions the police had with those 16 people in the months before they were offered the ability to move in there with supportive health, mental health, and addictions and stuff, and how few interactions we've had with those 16 people since we found housing for them. It is a markedly, and I'm going to say a like 500% different in the number of reactions with that group. So kind of says yes to us to keep moving on with supportive housing. If we can find people housing, and housing that includes the mental health support and the addiction support and the other things that Indwell brings to our community. So thank you, Indwell, again. Then we see a lot less of that petty activity happening where our police are responding over and over to the same people again. So thank you to Chief Heritage and his team. But what a great way to reduce the number of incidents of crime is to find the people who are causing most of it and come up with a solution for them. And in this case, supportive housing has been done. So thank you, Emily, for giving me a chance to say that. And when we have Chief Heritage on, I'll make sure he gives you those exact same details. And I think we have a guest for next week who will give us a lot more details about the people who are underhoused in St. Thomas too.
We have Ginny. Ginny has agreed to come on the show next week and talk about the Grace Cafe as well as the Annex and answer questions from the audience.
So
that's
perfect.
Incredible.
Joe won't have to talk at all.
Well, I mean, they just do so much stuff over there. It's incredible the amount of support for our community.
I think the last thing Ginny told me is about 100 a day they feed, and they're like early morning till
hot
noon.
Meals, coffee,
and takeaway meals
packs.
for your absolutely. So even with the full-time shelter now being 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we were not at all thinking that it would affect Grace Cafe, and it has not, because Ginny doesn't ask, "Are you homeless?" or why you're there. Some people are just underhoused. Some people would like to see people instead of being alone in their own apartment, and so they end up at Grace Cafe every day with their friends. And Ginny and her volunteer team do a fantastic job of settling them, food, what clothes do you need, that type of thing. It's an incredible organization at Grace Cafe. So happy to have them in our community instead of anywhere else. All right, so I'm going to go on to what happened at council this week.
Yay!
And in between that, please don't hesitate to ask your questions. If they have to do with council, fantastic. Or if they have to do with the city, ask them. It's a forum for us to try and discuss it all. But so we talked about the rink in the library. Simple things on the agenda last week were change in zoning for the area around Elgin Carpet 1 on Talbot Street, pretty much by Brywood. Right? And so we're letting him build a warehouse on his property, and it works great. So Faith Gallagher will ask, because I just talked about Talbot Rail City Lofts, and something on one of those social media sites where everybody knows things, being damaged. Well, look, these are people's individual apartments now. All right, that's what they are. That's where they live. They pay rent for their apartment, but along with getting the rent in the apartment, they get help, social help through mental health and addictions, and housekeeping and grocery shopping and further housing. So if we're talking about Rail City Lofts, that's the purpose of them. So I'm sorry, I can't tell you. I certainly haven't visited inside anybody's apartment without being asked to. So if we can one day have somebody from Indwell on here again, we'll have that conversation again. How does it work? But I would expect these, as I said, many of these people were well known to our city police, as we were picked to be the members to take residence in Rail City Lofts, and we're seeing a lot less police presence with them because behavior has improved, because they now have a place to live. So I don't know. Fake news, near news.
Hopefully.
Yeah, whatever we want to say. What else have we got here? So I talked about a zoning amendment. That's great. But one of the other things we're also doing in St. Thomas, because it's not easy to do this, you see this done in some other municipalities too. As we're asking for a zoning change on a piece of property, whether it's to build a new subdivision or to change a property's zoning or with the Planning Act, we'll now be hanging a sign on the site saying application for change.
Mm-hmm.
If you want details on this, so if you're a local neighbor, you might not have heard of it, unless you've got mail from us, or I think we post in the Times Journal, and not everybody gets it. But now there'll be a sign posted on the site with a phone number for you to call if you want details. So you know whether you want to show up at the public meeting if there's a public meeting, or at least to get details of what's happening in your neighborhood. I think it's another good way of communicating in St. Thomas. We could run a whole list every Wednesday on Mayor's Update, but with the growth in our community, I think we would run out of time.
So we didn't post signs before?
No, not at all. You just, if it was to be a public meeting on a change in a property that you were within 100 meters of, you would receive a letter from the city, and we would also post in the Times Journal and wherever else we could. It'd also be on the city website. All that stuff is there also. But not everybody, certainly not people who are new to our community, know how to do that.
So, and I mean, if you wouldn't necessarily go to the website thinking that there was a change going on if you didn't know about it either.
No, that's proactive, but how about get a life? Yeah, no. So now, if you see something on the sign, you see a sign in your neighborhood says zoning change or planning change here, and there's a phone number you can call and say, "Hey, what does that mean?" Right? And
fantastic.
It's a new house or a new apartment building, and the zoning has to be changed because of this, or like the one that I just talked about, Elgin Carpet One wants to make their building bigger, so it kind of changes the zoning for where they are. They want to add a warehouse to their store. Well, there would have to be a sign for a while, and so their neighbors could have phoned in and said, "What's going on next to me?" Or you could just go over next door with a couple of coffees and say, "Hey, what's happening?" But that's another way. All right. We had one house write us back. I know we talked about 2 months ago about making a heritage registry of houses in St. Thomas. And really all it means is we put the houses on a registry and say why it's more special. It's special and has a heritage registry. This isn't a heritage designation. When we sent out those notices to people, we said, write in it. If you don't like this, please send us a letter back saying you don't even want to be on the heritage registry. Somebody did. We honored it and took it off. What else have we got going on? The St. Thomas Elgin Health Recruitment Partnership appointed somebody from the home builders to their board, which we think is a really neat thing since we're trying to attract more doctors all the time. Having somebody from the home builders on there is also a good thing. We had a very long conversation about the taxi bylaw. For decades, the taxi bylaw in St. Thomas has been almost everything taxi companies wanted to do was administered by the council. And so a while ago we talked about, hey, who wants to talk about the taxi bylaw? And the taxi owners sent us a letter, and we said, okay, now we'll get to what the changes might be. But then after that, they sent us a letter saying, but we'd also like to raise our rates. And the only way for them to raise their rates is council say yes to it. Okay? But we said, well, we would like to change some of this bylaw, but yeah, okay. So the city engineer, who's now responsible for that area of our community taxi bylaw, went to make some changes, and council said, wait a second, we really want to discuss these others, but how can we get them their rate increase? Right? I don't know of another business in town where the city gets to set their prices. I mean, I know they don't tell me how much I can sell a hamburger for, right? And so the fact that it had to come to City Hall to get their prices changed, the rates for taxis, and there's many other businesses that you would call fairly similar to taxis that we don't control prices on or anything else. So anyway, we passed the bylaw on Monday night. so that they could go ahead and get the price increase in. As we all know, there's some inflation happening. Gas is more expensive and insurance is more expensive.
Yeah.
So let's let redlining your taxi get that part out of the way. But we had to struggle with how can we do that, not pass the bylaw. So we did pass the bylaw, but there's a few changes in there the councillors would like to talk about. We may rescind a couple of the other changes back. So I personally would like to get the city out of the taxi monitoring business.
That's what I was going to say. That's what we were talking about before, is just removing it.
Well, now there's conversation of what's moving it and what's not moving it and what's right. So we'll handle that in 2 weeks. But as it's done now, we've passed it so that the taxi companies can do what they need to do.
Very good.
Okay, what else have we got from council?
Transit. I think we missed talking about the fact that you added a stop in transit on the transit system.
Well, there's a stock. We'll do these minor changes from time to time. I think we had a stop on Burwell, right? And and I think we missed a while ago where we added an earlier hour to the on-demand to the industrial area also. So we'll continue to in that last transit change. So we'll continue to look at those things too as we move forward on transit. So please keep telling us through the customer service system if you'd like to see something different on transit. But I think I talked last week about the cost of transit because the transportation money came from the province. But we're still covering more than half of the cost of a $2 million transit system through the taxpayers, most of which aren't part of the system, that we're not getting their fares. So anyway, we'll continue to look at that. Number of requests from our great friends at the Kinsman Club. The Kinsman Club does a great job of selling fireworks and putting on the fireworks at Pinafore Park in most cases. And they usually have a trailer out over at Gearlink's Home Hardware to sell their fireworks. But they've asked us, can we park our trailer at the Joe Thornton Center? Yes, of course. Right. And can we sell fireworks? Another thing the city has to say yes to, apparently. You have to have an approval to sell fireworks in the city of St. Thomas. So we said yes to everything there. And then another great one. And then I went to the study the next day, but Petrusia from the Immigration Partnership put out what would be her annual report on immigrants and discrimination in the city of St. Thomas. And so we talked at council. We accepted the report, and thank you for doing the report. And then I attended a workshop the next day where some breakout sessions and stuff about, how can we better deal with discrimination and racism in St. Thomas? And there's some great things coming from that. But the role the city plays is somewhat different than a role a business would play. But I ask you, please go online to the Immigration Partnership and read the report. It's fairly lengthy, but it's packed filled with information about our area of St. Thomas and Elgin, and what discrimination or racism looks like to those that are being discriminated here in St. Thomas and Elgin, and a great discussion group to help gather that information. So please read it if you can. This one I almost felt a conflict. There's an application for the Alcohol and Gaming Commission for a liquor license at Shebaz. and I do like to go there, and I really would like to go there and have a nice craft beer from one of our local breweries too.
Absolutely.
So, way to go. I hope I'm not in any trouble there. And those are most of the big things that happened at council this week.
That's a lot. That was a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and there's lots more coming. And so we already know the taxi one's coming back, right, to us in 2 weeks for some more tweaking. And we'll be happy to do it. But as I said, my interpretation is private business should have the rights to make decisions for private business and not so much the city. Let's see what we got. A few questions come in. Yes, the Easter egg hunt will be coming soon. I think we hold that near Easter at Pinafore Park, and the Kinsmen do that job too. And again, a huge, great collection They had a great raffle at Christmas time to raise money for the things that the Kinsmen do. The Kinsmen do really good active things in our community, like the Easter egg hunt and the fireworks. So thank you, Matt, for reminding me to talk about that. Please remind us a couple weeks before the Easter egg hunt so we can really get in the front of the lines. Those little kids knock me down trying to get Easter eggs and stuff. No, so that we can tell more of the kids and the families that they can get out to Pinafore Park and do the Easter egg hunt. Easter egg hunt. Yep.
Faye Gallagher has a question regarding Airbnbs and whether the city has any regulations concerning homeowners using their property as an Airbnb in St. Thomas.
Well, I'm kind of torn on the same way as that. I think it's once you buy a property, it's kind of yours to use and to keep and to do what you want. And you know, I'm not sure we want to set the laws as to what color the front door can be, or there's some conversation we saw in London with a recent fire where there's some 13 people living in a house, and there are some rules against habitation, how many people should be in a house and that type of thing. And I think from a safety point of view, the city can be involved, but I really would like good homeowners and property owners doing the right things for their properties. So we do not currently have a bylaw about temporary rental use like Airbnb. If you think we should, let's have a few more conversations, perhaps through the customer service system, of you saying that that's where you would like it to be. We'll see how that goes. I guess that's the best thing to do. Ask you, do you want it or not want it? So
I've seen a lot of different people putting posts on Facebook recently about Airbnb because their feeling is that it's raising the cost of housing where they are.
Well, I guess if somebody was using their house for Airbnb instead of renting it out on a monthly basis, a month by month with a lease, then yes, I guess. But either way, I guess people are living in it. So I don't think of St. Thomas as a vacation destination as much as I do
why not
accommodation. Right? Well, look, you can come visit people. I get it, but we're building another hotel for that reason, and we have one now. So. I'm not saying it's not right, but I think it would surprise me. I suppose I should look up Airbnb St. Thomas and see how many
there are a couple
short-term rentals in there. Okay, and if it's a couple, then I'm okay. But right,
yeah, there. Well, I should say there's several, just because there hasn't been a lot of accommodation for people that are coming into St. Thomas. I mean, Airbnb, it's one of these things where it's affordable accommodation for a lot of people. Like when I was working in New York, I loved going to Airbnbs. And I could get a place in New York for like $30 US a night. So,
but you're only staying there to work a night or two, and that's why you did it.
Well, I was there for like 2 weeks, but like $30.
So you weren't renting it for a year, so that's why you would be thankful then that there was Airbnb situation where you could do that. But as I said, we'll have our own Holiday Inn Express. I was out looking at the early construction of that site just the other morning, and so that will be there. And the Comfort Inn, of course, is still there. We have a number of small motels still available, and I think some of them also do kind of short-term rentals in some cases too. So,
but I like it for like
the discussion we should have. But
totally, I love like the hostel section, like the kind of like template for Airbnb, because that way I was able to go to New York, and like there were like maybe 16 people in the house. And so we could all like go there and like talk and then go out on the town and like go to different events.
More like shared accommodation. I think to most people, Airbnb is you're renting the house. It's just you're not renting it for a year. And
that's what people are complaining about.
Right.
Yeah. You're getting like it's a second property. It's been bought just to make money. So I get like people like I think Port Stanley is probably a place that has more of an issue than St. Thomas does in terms of like
I know up South Bruce Peninsula, where my cottage is, has started quite a new rental piece. You must be a registered house. There's $1,000 fee to be a renter. You must. There's a bunch of rules that go with short-term rentals, right?
Yeah.
So if we want to have that discussion, St. Thomas, I'm lovely to have it, right?
We should say hi to Julian as well. Again, he's back.
Hi,
Julian. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. And Faye had another point on the weekend Airbnb parties. Well, I know that most renters who rent Airbnb are not looking to have groups of people to rent their place for 2 days and have a great big party. So, but you're right, somebody's got to enforce that. But if you are having a huge party in your place, then there are noise bylaws and crowd bylaws that we would deal with anyway. So, what else have we got?
So they're talking about the Global Flavors Food Passport, which is an initiative that's put on by the St. Thomas and Elgin Local Immigration Partnership.
Yeah,
and
we heard about that the other day too. And you want to know you're doing something like international, and look, and I, no offense, I'm the mayor of St. Thomas, and I like to eat, so this is a fantastic piece, but we're not as metropolitan thoroughly as we could be in St. Thomas. There's some fantastic restaurants now. Well, I mentioned Shebaz, Mr. and Mrs. Bao, the Caribbean stove, I think. Am I right?
The Caribbean, it's Caribbean. It's up. It's by Medlin Stained Glass.
Yeah,
I'm not. I can't
but
the exact name, but
with international flavors, almost door to door in our community now, and so this passport is from many of those, and you go and try different international cuisines, which are usually very, very good, and then you put your passport into anybody who fills out a passport has a chance to win something. So perfect.
I've just popped it into the chat there.
Excellent.
So from Railway State Tourism, you can download your passport and you can stamp it. I've got Plaza Sushi and Mr. and Mrs. Bao's. They had their lunar.
Oh yeah, they had like 7 days of savings. It
was incredible. You get $1 sides. So like we ordered a whole whack of food from them on I think it was Thursday for the $1 side, because the dumplings. Let me tell you, the dumplings are incredible.
The ramen bowls, the bao sandwiches themselves, pork belly. Yes,
it's so good.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, this is dangerous because
no, I'm just kidding.
One day I can hope we can just get food from everybody. I think that'd be amazing.
Well, hi, Julian's grandma. I haven't talked to her in a while, but the Shebaz is really what was one of the first Mediterranean restaurants and really started this trend. Plaza Sushi did a great job out of the old variety store, right? And Shebaz was at the gas station, right? And if no, look at bricks and mortar real restaurants. Way to go, guys! It's what we want to do in our community. And said, hey, try something different. You live in a community of 42,800 and change now. This is a real city. So get out there and try some of these neat new things. You will, you
won't regret it.
You will not regret it. I keep occasionally wishing I could find a food I didn't like because I like all food. So perfect. Try the passport too. Excellent. And get out there and try more than one.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of arts and culture is the St. Thomas Elgin Public Arts Center has a new show on. It's absolutely incredible. Andres Villar has put it on, and it's called Reconnaissance. And it has pieces of St. Thomas history shown alongside, I would say, like Elgin County history, and just like the symbology that he's using is absolutely incredible. Like I would say like this show is on par with anything I've seen in the National Gallery. And I challenge you to go and see it and enjoy what he's put together. Like one of my favorite things was photographs of the different places and buildings that have disappeared in St. Thomas. And there's these massive photos that are on the walls there. And there's also a tie-in between gold and red and a lot of history and kind of the impermanence of memory as well as experience. And I got to tell you, people,
how long will it be there?
It's I got to tell you that too.
You know that? I didn't look up the show. Yeah,
March 26th.
Oh, so we got a while, but let's not delay. This weekend is as better as any, so to get down to your art gallery. And the show's changed there. And every time I go in the art gallery, it's completely different than the last time I was there. So it's, wow, when did you do this? Joe, we change it all the time. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Could you call me when you change it again so that I could come? Yeah. But looking forward to coming and seeing that one.
Totally. And I shot some video footage of it earlier this week. So I'm going to edit that together and then share it with everybody as well. Just so you get a little taste for it. But like photos and video don't do art justice. You need to see it in person. So that's the caveat. Like, yes, you can look at it, you can get a feel for it, but you're going to really understand it if you go in person. So,
well, it's also, you're seeing all of them at once and one at a time. I don't know if I said that right, but it is about that. It's, how does the last exhibit you look at the one beside it, right? So
yeah, it's very powerful stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that there, but I believe I cut you off a little bit there, Mayor Joe. So
no, I just I'm trying to read the questions as they come in. And Julian, tell your grandma I'm doing great. What else have we got? What else is going on in the community this week? I mean, there's a lot more things happening. I feel the fever kind of. As we're out there, we're back with kids hockey tournaments in town or going out of town. We're back with even people attending worship spots and that type of thing happening. And activity in restaurants, of course, is near and dear to my heart. But we've had the survival mode for our restaurants in our community. So please go help them. And it's good if you will. But the other thing is, we talked about the growth from a census point of view, but the other thing that's really exciting is where we are on the employment status point of view. The last employment stats for the London St. Thomas, because they don't separate that, was 6.1, which in most years would be a pretty significant employment situation. Now the last one went up a little bit because we were in another bit of a lockdown, or some access to certain restaurants was not there, and that hurts employment. But we are flaming hot from an economy in this area in southwestern Ontario. If we can continue to manage COVID the way we have, right? If we can slowly come out of it well, we'll see the economy be pretty warm through this summer and into the fall, which I think is I couldn't plan a better event for celebrating the exit of COVID. That we grow as a city, and we grow in employment, and we grow in new parks or new skating rinks, or we grow in new exhibits at the art center. These are all great things to say, look at life. It's St. Thomas. Let's join with our neighbors and grow as well as we can.
No, it's really exciting. Just to talk with Art Center again, it's really cool to see something that's so well thought out, that's so local, because you would go to the National Gallery and you'd see something that's kind of on a Canadian scale, but it'd be talking about another community, not about St. Thomas and Elgin County. Right. And so it's that tie-in to take someone who takes something local and puts enough time and energy to make it really special. It's really incredible. Yeah. And it's exciting that maybe our population has gotten to the point where we can do that here now.
Well, we certainly have done it culinarily. I mean, our restaurant group has changed to be more than meat and potatoes. I mean, and that's still available, or wings and nachos, all good, right? But there's other choices out there now, and now our choices in culture, especially from worldwide culture, is also changed and is different. St. Thomas is being discovered, whether it's number 2 on the U-Haul survey of people coming here, or I find that funny. I was talking to a couple of students from Western today.
Yeah.
And they were here working with the developer that's doing the 1060 Talbot, where the new stores are, along where the Timken factory was, and also on the accommodation side, the apartment building that will likely go in there too. And one was from Toronto, and the other was from Guelph or Kitchener, I believe. And they just stopped in to see the mayor for a minute, because the developer knows me, and so they stopped in, and they're saying, and they're rhyming off facts like this. Did you know you're number 2 on the U-Haul poll? Did you know Maclean's magazine recognized your city as number 1 in Ontario? And I said, well, way to go.
Yeah.
That you did that bit of research, and you knew that about St. Thomas. But yes, St. Thomas is, we can't stop growth, so we might as well surf it. Right? We might as well grow with it and let's get the right things and grow. But I can't, you and I, we talk about smart growth a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For every person moving here, there needs to be a job.
Yeah.
For every person who moved here and has a job, there's a certain amount of good roads and parks and other things that are needed for that to happen. Right. Well, that's St. Thomas. We're growing at the right pace on all kind of 3 levels, and we sometimes have to kind of slow down and catch up. But that's exactly what we need to do as a city.
Mm-hmm. No, it's exciting, and it's exciting to see it grow. I remember like growing up as a kid, and I was like, St. Thomas, meh. And like, what's really
to you, this was a big city. No.
Well, I don't know, but it's funny growing up here and being like, meh, and then like as you kind of go out into the world and you experience other places, you're like, oh, it's actually pretty cool there. There's a lot of great people in St. Thomas, and there's a lot of great things going on. And it's so funny to go out into the world and then realize how good you had it.
Well, we used to kind of sit around and say, what does St. Thomas need? And when I was on the Chamber of Commerce or on the Downtown Development Board. Well, we don't get a theater. We're never, right, okay, let's get a theater. Mm-hmm. All right. What else? Oh, we have to get a hotel. Okay, we got a hotel. All right. Oh, we need a big soccer complex. Okay, if that's what you think we need, great. All right. We need to continue to have Pinafore Park and Waterworks Parks and all the other great things. Great, right? So what are we missing? I mean, I ask it a lot. What are we missing? And there's, if you sit down on some of our social media sites, there'll be, oh, well, we need a craft store, or we need, and it's starting to now be a fairly finite line items of what we need to have. But we really do need the people of St. Thomas, including and especially the new 5,000 people living in St. Thomas in the last 5 years, to discover things like downtown and the Horton Market and the Art Center. And I mean, we have some fantastic stuff here, and you would be even happier if you found it. Yep. And then when you had people come visit, go to the elevated park, go to the Art Center, go to the Horton Market on Saturday. And it is a great place if you go visit what we have.
Like, yeah, no, I like just talking about that, like the Horton Market, how it has kind of expanded and become so much of a vibrant place to go. Like I remember like it was almost dead partway through. Like I was there as a kid. Oh, I have a picture of myself in a strawberry costume that my dad dressed me up in to sell strawberries at the Horton Market. I'm going to share that next week.
Okay. But that one I want for my collection.
Okay. Yeah. But
that could be posted in the mayor's office. Yeah.
Like the Horton Farmers Market, it seemed like it almost died, and then it's roared back. And then we have the elevated park, which you just brought up. So you feel like you can think of all these vignettes of these places, and you're talking about Pinafore Park is like it's gorgeous. Waterworks is incredible.
Right.
Like it's like if you start putting it together, you're like, and we're talking about tourism in St. Thomas. Like you're like,
so what are you missing?
Like, right? Like people, I think actually could come to St. Thomas and be like, this is kind of fun just to hit these things on the weekend, which is kind of cool to think about as a person who grew up here and be like, okay, St. Thomas is kind of could potentially be a destination spot for someone to come. And then it's like a hop, skip, and a jump. You can go to Port Stanley. You can
that's what I mean. London, if it's your base for the weekend, right? For you to hit Port Stanley Beach on the nicest weather or into London to see I can't imagine what you would want to see there, but
Grand Theater. You could go to the Grand Theater.
Yeah, but you can go to Port Stanley Festival Theater where I have acted. No, but you could. We have some of everything all around us, and it would be, what do you think? You want to see good gardens? I mean, whoever came when I first moved to St. Thomas and people came to visit, we went to Cannondale's.
Yeah,
right. Look, you got to see this garden shop. You got to see what they do out here. They're incredible. And I mean, it's just what destinations fit your guests, right? So, but we are lacking almost nothing. Could we have 2 or more modern of some things? Absolutely, we could. We need a bus going to both Port Stanley and London, please. Absolutely, but as we talked last week, buses have to pay for themselves if they're not running in a city. So St. Thomas is working very hard on us being the driver of this program. Joke, the driver of this program to get to include for sure London, and from then Port Stanley, Elmer, some other areas in Elgin County to make this work. It is crazy that London is as close as it is, and we do not have a way other than a private automobile to get you there. But we're St. Thomas. We're not supposed to go out past our little gate. and London can't come past their little gate without somebody paying that bill. So we're working on it, and we may have a conversation one night soon, because the report to Minister Mulrooney on that is being done tomorrow. So,
amazing.
But I'd like to have a conversation about what's the most you would pay. I'll ask the question to everybody watching tonight, and just put it in with one word. How much would you pay for a bus fare to London? A one-way, if you wanted to get to London, what's the most you would tolerate? $5, $7, $10, not return. So each time you got on the bus, it has to be something. And we have to be able to pay for that bus and driver and the fuel and all and the insurance and all the other stuff. So what would you tolerate? What would work? So if you want to put something in tonight, do so. If not, I'd like to get it so we could do it $5 each way. Right.
Wow.
I
was just thinking like $10. I would pay $10 each way.
Yeah. Well,
if you think about
when
gas,
you have to get to a hospital,
parking,
or we have to get to Fanshawe College. I mean, that's still cheaper than parking in London in most cases. That $5 surely is, right?
Oh, $5, like no question. That'd be
right.
Easy.
And the fuller the bus is, obviously, the more chance that it's paying for itself. So, right. So I think you're going to see a little bit out there about busing and stuff still, and regional busing is still really high on our list. So, Faye, thank you for saying something tonight so that I can remind myself I need to talk more about this. And it's funny to think we need a system to get people out of our community to make our community better. But what we really need is a system that gets people out of our community to more important things, like a hospital visit to London or to university, and a way back to St. Thomas also, where there isn't I can't do that, I'll be stranded. So we've got to make sure that this will work. So thank you for reminding us of that. And we have another $8 one way on our straw poll. I'm sorry, I can't help looking at you without thinking of a strawberry now. So can I call you shortcake? No.
I got my mom to send me the picture. I don't know why she had it on her phone, so she must have been digitizing them. But I was like, Mom, when I was on my birthday weekend up in Collingwood at an Airbnb.
Yep.
No, it's hilarious.
So your mom had your picture on her phone. You know she was sending that out. If that's what it was.
That's what I was afraid of.
Wasn't just so I could show my neighbor friends at the right. No, I wonder who it went to.
I'm very curious. Oh man! There we go.
And you're the strawberry.
Okay. I am the strawberry.
Well, I was once an egg. That's a whole other. That's the only it was a promotions costume for breakfast, and so I was an egg, like a hard-boiled egg. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's
and that picture. I don't think there's any of those around. I think I've threatened death to anybody who had one. So yes.
Amazing.
But since then I've come out of my shell.
Oh man! Speaking of all these different items of food, like I'm really hungry. I've got to go get some food.
You do that.
Whew.
And we thank you all. Remember, 7:30 on Wednesdays, Mayor's Update. A great forum for you to share all you want and to hear us talk about St. Thomas and the great things in it. And next Wednesday, Jenny from Grace Cafe is coming to share her lifelong work of doing this type of work in St. Thomas. So bring your questions for Jenny too. And she's not shy, so she'll be able to help you with the information of what Grace Cafe does and why it started.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks again.